Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hey, how are you? It's Shelley, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast for October 23rd. Anyway, I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I'm very happy to be here with you this week, today. And we've got a lot to go over, which I say every week, but it's probably a little bit more stressful today because I have a reading at the top of the hour next hour. And so I'm going to try and get through probably even more than I normally get through. But we're going to go over the weekly stuff. We're going to do some, we may skip the events. We'll see. And then we're going to go over how the body relates to the planets and positions of the zodiac, or what the different signs do to the body, especially now when we're really feeling the energy. Hopefully my earrings dingling won't be too frustrating or annoying for you. And then we've got the rulership that I wanted to go over too. And as per usual, I'm going to show you this on the podcast online. Look at that mess. Okay, yeah, that's this week. Anyway, something that I noticed this past week, and I honestly wished I had said something before, but I'm going to tell you now because you can prepare for the next one. What happened yesterday was that the moon was in Capricorn, and a moon in Capricorn is like a culminator. He is an indicator, she. The energy of the moon is considered generally she, but there's always the man in the moon, which I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, wow, you've got the man in the moon and the feminine energy of the moon. So I guess maybe depending on how you look at it, you have both. But yesterday, the moon just entered Capricorn. And of course, we have all these planets in Capricorn. So currently, I just called up the chart for now. We have the moon in Aquarius. But every month, of course, the moon goes through Capricorn. And so we're going to have this Capricorn moon again. So what I wanted to say, what I found out and realized yesterday, because, you know, so many things going on right now. You're a little crooked. There we go. Is that Capricorn being this indicator, being this kind of motivator for a storyline and an answer body in the heavens, hit Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn throughout the day. And as you know, if you've listened to my podcast for a while, I have an astrology book. It's an ebook right now that I only sell on my own website, but I am looking to get it published. So yesterday I put in I put in a notification to a publisher, and I looked at the chart for it, and it turned out the moon was at the exact same place as Jupiter in the sky. And I thought, wow, that's really auspicious because it's also within 2 degrees of an exact trine to my natal sun. So I thought that was amazing. And, but then because of this energy, I'm like, you know, this is a really powerful moon for manifestation. So next month in November, we have it again. And I went in and I looked at it so that I could give you a long-term heads up. And this is November. It's a lot of stuff. So we've got on the 12th is going to be, actually, I take it back. It is the 19th. 18 degrees through the end of Capricorn. So really coming into the last 10 degrees of Capricorn on the 19th of November. And of course, so it hits a square to Venus. It's also in a conjunction to Jupiter and then Saturn and also Pluto. And I'm trying to see what else it does. So if it's in Capricorn, it's going to go in on the 18th and be a trine to Uranus. Of course, this month we've got the energy of the retrogrades, but next month a lot of retrogrades are going to be turning direct. So including Mercury, Mars, and Neptune. Okay, so what happens when there's so much to talk about? I get a little a little stressed because I'm trying to figure out which way to best approach it. So I tell you what, just for grounding purposes, I'm going to go into what's happening this week, and that'll probably help you all as much as it helps me. So, and the other thing I guess I wanted to mention too, because right now with my computer problems and Mercury retrograde, I've got, like I said, about 5 computers, including the one I'm on and not including my phone. And none of them are 100% working properly. So it's kind of like a mishmash of trying to get things done. And I'm currently on my daughter's computer, and I don't have access to that necessarily when I want every week. So I have to take it when I can. And that makes it on a Friday. So again, my apologies. It's kind of like you do what you can do. And anyway, so we're still working within the boundaries right now of what I can get to, what I can access, given the Mercury retrograde nature of what it does to my computers. And it's stretching out. And I mentioned this before, but again, I get new people every week, and I've been noticing online people are coming in and they're saying, hey, I just found you. And so I want to make sure that they also understand some of this information. But Mercury is opposing Uranus. And so having that opposition, I'm just going to look at the chart over here. The Mercury energy right now, retrograde, it's at 5 degrees of Scorpio. He is within 5 degrees of the sun, and they're both opposite Uranus at 9 degrees of Taurus. So we have this kind of energetic battle going on, and they both are very strong electrical energies, very strong rulers of different types of technology and energy. And energy, air energy, is really connected. And I think this is probably going to give me a sidetrack a little bit, because I do want to talk about how planets are ruled. Okay, Mercury, and just rulership in general. Mercury is an air energy air energy in general, I would say, because it is electrical. And that means that he manifests his energy through electrical means, or in our thoughts, in our brains, through the currents that run through electrical synapses in the brain and in the nervous system, so up and down the spine and all through our bodies. And it's like when you have that energy affecting you, you can be scattered. And of course, I guess this is probably what triggered me wanting to talk to you about it, is that I have Mercury ruling. I'm sorry, I'm just going to change my chair around a little bit. Mercury rules my Virgo planets, and Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, like we're talking about right now, is also right next to my Mercury in my chart. And it's in the sign of Virgo, which is ruled by the earth energy of Mercury. And so the cluster of energy around Mercury and Uranus energy in my chart, and all 4 of my Virgo planets fall in the Aquarius house. So I definitely am lit up with the electrical energy in my brain. And fortunately, the Virgo really grounds this. And I think that it's what makes me a pretty good astrologer when I talk about the energies, because I can tell you these concepts and bring them down to tangible realities and give you an idea about that. So anyway, we've got this opposition between these 2 major electrical bodies in the heavens. And those of us who are, influenced really strongly by Mercury or Uranus, and that means you have an Aquarius rising, you have Uranus next to one of your planets, especially your sun or your Mercury, anything where there may be an opposition, a square, or a trine between Mercury and Uranus in your chart. You have a cluster of Gemini, you have a cluster of Virgo. All of these energies are really strong, powerful electrical energies. And so it can make us scattered. It can make us ADD or ADHD in psychological terms. I mean, I definitely have my opinion, as those who have listened to the show know. I know as an astrologer how energy flows in through the influence of the planets. And so when we're born, that energy is photographed into our genes, into our DNA, because we take our first breath and we breathe in the energy of the new environment we're in. And so that is imprinted into our charts, and then we start the clock, so to speak. And so at that point of starting the clock, then the planets continue to go around the sun. We still see how they are in the sky around the earth, and they influence us based on that energetic imprint of our birth. And so when we have Mercury and Uranus talking to each other, those of us who are strongly influenced by either of those two planets are kind of lit up. We're like, oh, what'd you say? What's going on? You know, I've got it. I hear you. And if you're not paying attention to the messages, and messages are very strongly what Mercury is about, he is the messenger god, then you're going to have problems. You're going to end up getting miscommunication, misguided, or your mind will be here, but the car will be going that way. And you'll miss your turn, or you will miss phone calls because you're concentrating on something way out here in the ethers and you don't even hear the phone ringing. I mean, it can be that literal about miscommunication. So I just want to share that with you. And then I'm going to have to do this really quickly. It's unfortunate. I was trying to fit this in so I could get it out there because, again, we're on Friday and I really want to get the video up Friday night. But I'm trying to figure out my scheduling. And like I said, I have a call coming up. So anyway, we're going to do that. And I want to get this all fit in. And I have so many ideas for this week's show. So anyway, the rulership, we're just going to talk about rulership. So when you talk about rulership, it means that every sign has a planet that it is associated with. So I'm going to go around the zodiac. Aries is associated with Mars. Taurus is associated with Venus in an earth energy. Gemini is the air energy of Mercury, the planet Mercury. Cancer is the moon, home and family. And Leo is the sun. He shines the light over everything and is the center of our universe right now. You've got Virgo, which is the earth energy of Mercury. Libra is Venus in her air form or her thought form, the concepts. You have Scorpio, and the ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, and major life changes. You've got Sagittarius and his ruler, Jupiter. You've got Capricorn and the ruler, Saturn. And then you have Aquarius's ruler, Uranus, and Pisces' ruler is Neptune. Sometimes Pisces is also considered to have a ruler of Jupiter. And just for those of you who didn't know, Virgo, there's a theoretical planet, and I can tell you it's really fascinating to me. They say there's another planet out there in a part of the sky that they notice some kind of anomalies, and they think it's considered Vulcan. And so that Virgo's natural ruler is the theoretical planet Vulcan. And so, I don't know, maybe someday we'll find a Vulcan out there. And so it really does connect to the Virgo energy, that Vulcan energy, because, you know, Virgos are very logical and can be very cold at times because it's an earth energy. But anyway, the rulership, when you're reading a chart, you can look at a chart, and I'll just give you an example. This one, I don't know. I probably shouldn't show you some of these. These are people I'm going to read here on this podcast, but I'll just use them as an example. This one has a Scorpio rising like I do. So the Scorpio rising, you have the ruling planet of the rising sign is Pluto. So the identity is connected to Pluto, and that means when there are difficult aspects with Pluto or life-changing aspects with Pluto, we feel it. And we feel like right now for Scorpio rising, Pluto is right in the middle between Jupiter and Saturn. That means he's getting pressured both sides to be free on one side and speak his mind, and to be responsible for what he says on the other. Meanwhile, he's just digging deep into the middle emotions and going, oh, I'm so upset, I can't function, you know, it's getting overwhelming. So when you look at the rulerships in a chart, there's kind of like this connectedness of the whole chart, because all the planets are in a certain sign and every sign has a ruler. So even though you have, say, Jupiter, Pluto, the moon, and Saturn all in Capricorn, they all answer to Saturn, and Saturn's right there. So they're all culminating with the Saturn story, which is structure. And so you have Jupiter, which is education and travel and the idea of freedom, and musicians are under that, real estate. So you have all these different niches that are really responding to Saturn. And it goes for every other planet in the zodiac when you look at a chart, that they all respond to a ruler of the house, of the sign they're in, And they also rule over other signs that are in the chart. So it really adds another layer of understanding. When you're reading a chart, you go, okay, you've got Venus in Cancer and the moon in Aquarius. Well, if your Venus is in Cancer, she's answering to Cancer on moon. So whatever happens to the moon, that means your desires shift every couple days. And, you know, Venus expresses desire, and the moon culminates the story or understands the story and pushes you emotionally towards the culminating of that story. And so when you look at Venus and the moon, she's going to change your mind every few days. The person with Venus in Cancer is going to have a shift of what happens. And then her desires, while they may even shift, what happens to the story about getting her desires is also beholden to the moon. The moon in Capricorn is going to manifest desires. The earth signs can manifest. The air signs give you the ideas. She'll have more ideas under the moon in air signs. She'll be fiery and maybe a little bit sexy under moon in fire signs. So when you look at the different planets in your chart, you not only want to look at what degree it is, you want to look at what sign it's in, you want to look at the ruler of the sign, the house it's in, the ruler of the house it's in. And, you know, honestly, in readings, you don't really have enough time to go over everything and every layer that you can do, which is why I've become an intuitive astrologer, because when I look at a chart like this, I'll just put it above the name, I can look at that and go, oh yeah, there's a lot going on in the Virgo sector. You've got this kind of Saturn life purpose, you know, and there's a story that's being told to me as an intuitive astrologer. And so I just want to give to you that when you look at a chart, you, in the first level of understanding astrology, would look at the sun sign, look at the rising sign, look at your moon sign. Then you learn the planets, and then you go to what house they're in. And then you go to who rules the house and the sign and how it interacts with the other aspects. And then you can even add in the asteroids, and you add in parts of fortune and other Arabic parts, which are many and varied. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to touch on that because I really was thinking about that the other day, knowing that all of my Aquarian planets answer to Mercury and answer to Uranus, because all of my Virgo planets are in the Aquarius house, which is the Uranus ruler, and they also are in Virgo, which is Mercury as a ruler. So I've got Mercury, Uranus ruling my 11th house, which is friendships, and then they're answering to Uranus, Mercury opposing each other right now. So there is an imbalance, or not as much an imbalance, I would say, as a battle. Like a battle for the right to dictate what's going to happen in my mind. But yeah, anyway. Okay, there you go. Let's see what else. Okay, so I had that, and then I wanted to go over some events, and I don't know if I can do that easily here. I've got two computers, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I touched that keyboard and it was the other keyboard. I'm just going to look up some main stories here to go over what's going on in the week for you and how it relates. So we had the debate yesterday, and actually I watched it. Not all of it, about an hour of it though. And it was kind of like, wow, you know, it's much better rehearsed kind of in a way this time. And really the lady who ran the debate was just aces. She was just spot on, awesome. And so, yeah, probably nothing we didn't already know. Then COVID is on its way up. So I do want to talk about this a little bit, because earlier in the year, you know, like I've said last week, but we had the stellium in Capricorn on January 12th, and we also had Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And so as the year went on and all the planets in Capricorn retrograded, we pulled back into the old story. We headed Saturn into Aquarius initially in March, and it was like, hey, you know, I'm free, I'm doing my own thing. But at the same time, his influence, the Aquarian / Uranus influence, was that we all separated from each other. There was a detachment of connectivity between people, but we were in it together. And that is so quintessential Aquarian. We're in this together, but each individual is somewhat separate within their own realm. They're focused on their own thing while they are part of the collective story. That is where we're heading. This, I can't even drive it home enough. So I'm probably going to focus more about December. But as we get to December and Jupiter goes into to Aquarius after Saturn within 3 days, I believe, the 16th and the 19th of December. So 16th, Saturn goes into Aquarius, and the 19th, Jupiter does. So Jupiter runs faster than Saturn, which means he's going to hit Saturn immediately after going in. He's going to be right on him, probably within the first week. I haven't looked it up, but let me just look real quick and tell you. Let's see, Aquarius, Saturn, Jupiter, and yeah, Jupiter's going so fast, he actually joins up on the 22nd. It's like the first week. The first week of being in the same sign in Aquarius, he talks to Saturn and says, tell me what you got. And guess what? Jupiter's going to go tell everybody what he's got, what Saturn wants to tell after being in his own sign for 2.5 years. So there's this culmination of a story, Jupiter and Saturn. It's karma from Saturn, and Jupiter is moving on, freedom, the town crier, giving the information, giving the enlightenment, and taking responsibility for it. So it's immediate after Jupiter and Saturn go into Aquarius. Aquarius wants the ideas to come to light. Aquarius is about understanding on a global, universal, galactic level. He doesn't play around, you know, there's no, I shouldn't say, he probably does play around a little bit by showing us our hypocrisy. Because he's so clear-minded, because Aquarians are clear-minded, they see the true nature in the overarching story. They don't need to be explained the details because they get it. They intuit, they channel the understanding right away. And so they're very, very fast. 2021 is going to be a fast year, especially with Jupiter there. We're going to be off and running, and we're not going to stop. But Saturn wants us to stop, at least for a few days, right out of the gate. He's going to put a hurdle over Jupiter. So Jupiter has to jump the hurdle, and that's going to be what we feel right before Christmas, okay, the 22nd. So it's very significant. It means that Saturn has roots. Now he's going up into air, and that can mean with an earth energy and an air energy, and then Jupiter wanting things to move, it could be earthquakes, it could be airflow shifts, it could be hurricanes, it could be, and I know it's an odd time of year, but remember, it's Aquarius. Aquarius doesn't care. Aquarius is like, you think that the world is linear. Let me show you how it isn't. It's quantum. That means that instead of having a given timeline of when things happen, I can jump timelines. I can say, hey, this fits my needs now. I'm going to quantumly make that something happen. And so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we have a hurricane somewhere in this country or affecting this country the week before Christmas. Or it can also influence electrical explosions and outages. I'm going to tell you all this because I want you to be prepared. It's something that moves and shifts. It's a transformative energy. Aquarius is unexpected. You put transformers and unexpected and a ton of energy in one place, you have blown transformers, literally and figuratively in our lives. It's like our minds are blown. Whoa, my mind's blown. So that's the middle of December. It will build up towards that. We can see it up to, you know, I feel it about 10 days to a week before major influences, and we can feel it after about that. But I would say this is an energy that we're all going to feel, and the ripples are going to go out and reverberate for a while. So know that it can potentially relate to what's going on with the election. It can relate to our physical world. It can relate to means that people are, systematic means that are getting blown up and changed. All the fires definitely with Mars in Aries right now, we've got the fires, and then towards the end of the year, Mars is still in Aries at the end of the year. He doesn't even shift to Taurus until early next year. Let me see, I've actually got enough ephemeris for my reading up here. Let me see if I can find when he moves into Taurus. He moves in on the 7th of January. So, you know, he's at the end degrees. He's going to hit Pluto, and then after January, he's going to join, in Taurus, he's going to join Uranus. So then all these Aquarian planets are going to be answering to Uranus, which is now conjunct Mars. So by January, oh my God, I got chills with this one. We're going to be off to the races. I mean, really the new way of looking at life settles in. And it's, I mean, seriously, chills over my arms and legs. It's honestly something that I've been anticipating for the whole year, because I got a taste of it. We all got a taste of it in March. And by the new year, right after the new year, we're going to have so much energy pushing towards clarity, towards new systems, towards thinking clearer. And we're not going to be swayed as much in the news media because we see right through it. It'll be transparent. We don't have to battle for everybody to understand because people are starting to wake up. And if they're not awake now, next year is a very big awakening. Jupiter and Aquarius, wow. It is the year for science. Honestly, it's transformative. But Saturn is there for 2.5 years. So Saturn's going to make sure that things will be the way Saturn needs them in his capacity to understand. See, he's going to have to get his air legs, honestly. It's like flying on a magic carpet and trying to figure out how it works. That's 2021. So Saturn is going to spend a little bit of his time there really trying to understand the chaos that Aquarius can bring. And let me tell you, Jupiter, transformative, action-based, like really driven action. He's going to absolutely be the fuel for the fire of the next level of understanding for the collective. This is a global energy. Keeping in mind, Pluto is at 22 degrees, which is the degree of the world point. It is where the south and north nodes were conjunct on the 12th of January this year. So he's still at that global shift change point. So when Jupiter hits 22, that's when we really need to pay attention, because Jupiter is now direct. It is his final pass over Pluto, not his final pass necessarily with Saturn. Hang on. I had to get a sippy. But yeah, it's building. We're getting there. And it's funny because the things, I wrote babies, babies, babies at the end of the year. My cousin just had a baby a week or so ago. So anyway, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm running out of time. I only have about 11 minutes before my reading, which was delayed because of time zone understanding. So I've got 3 people who requested me look at their charts, and yeah, so I'm gonna read them. This is for Cindy. The first one is Cindy, and make sure they don't all have the same name. Yeah, Cindy has Scorpio rising. I wrote in here, and she was born, for those of you at home, August 25th, 1969 at 11:38 a.m. in Portland, Oregon. And so she's wondering what to do for her life purpose. She has this empty nest now because of when she was born, and I completely understand those feelings. Uranus, transformative, quantum energy, independence, is in your house of marriage and partnership, exactly on your Saturn. So Uranus is retrograde at 9 degrees Taurus, and your Saturn is at 8 degrees of Taurus. And so in the house of marriage and partnership, that is going to be a real strong demarcation in your marriage if you're married. And it means that now you are looking to have more of your own individuality acknowledged. And if you have a really amazing husband or partner, they can go with the flow. If you have married someone who has strong Uranian connections, interestingly, you also have Uranus in Libra. So Libra rules the 7th house, and your Uranus is there. So it's really being triggered, and your Uranus in your natal chart is at 2 degrees of Libra in your Aquarian house. So what I'm seeing is entrepreneurial and strong potential for health services, meaning things like Reiki or massage or energy work that you could do, or also retail, because Taurus rules retail. It rules money endeavors, or trying to find independent means of money, but also maybe even helping people with their money. It is feminine, very feminine energy. Saturn in Taurus is feminine, but then Uranus is really, it channels the male energy of drive and don't tell me what to do, and independence and autonomy. So you're going to really strongly feel that. But Uranus on your Saturn screams to me, you need a partner in the 7th house. Get a partner, start your own business. And it could be, like I said, the body, retail, any of that. Mars in January of next year is going to push you into that really strongly. Right now, I would say just be aware you've got Vesta. All of us have Vesta just inside Virgo at 0 degrees right now. It's on your sun. And so Vesta on your sun means that there is somebody in a career authoritative position. It could even be yourself, because it is your sun, but there is someone who is more of a taskmaster on you, wanting you to do things by the book and by the rules. So I would say because of that, definitely get your legal side of your business in order. And then the Capricorn cluster, the stellium, I always say cluster, stellium of Capricorn planets are right down in your 3rd house of communications. And that's also for you with a Scorpio rising, because you have a 0 degree Scorpio rising, as I do. And that means that we're really being pushed to get our story out there. And it's like our voice has not been heard, I would say, for a good decade. So yeah, speaking as someone who's really frustrated right now, obviously with the technology, and that can be frustrating for you too. It's about getting your voice out, okay? All right, so moving on, we've got Claudia, and she's actually a client of mine. Speaking of which, if you would like a reading of your own, please do contact me through angeliczodiac.com. I'm also on Facebook. If you click on the Book Now link on my Angelic Zodiac page on Facebook, you will get the scheduling site on my website. So check that out. And also go to SoundCloud. If you want to just hear audio of this, I'm on SoundCloud now instead of Blog Talk. Pass it along if you know people who listen to me and can't find me. I don't know why, because I always tell them my website, and everything is on my website, all the links. So anyway, if you're interested in audio only, it's on SoundCloud, iTunes. Just type in AstroEnergy. I'm still the same name. Okay, Claudia, and I don't think she said what she wanted to find out, but she has an 18 degree Pisces rising with Vesta in her 6th house. So that's somebody in the workplace giving her a hard time. She's got Sun, Mercury conjunct in her house of death and rebirth. And it's also commitment. It's the Scorpio house. So a lot of deep emotional work going on for this retrograde. There may be someone you know who is at the end of life, or dabbling with some issues that have to do with health. Mercury is health, and Venus is the body, but Mercury is health. And then you've got the Jupiter Pluto. This is, I think I printed this yesterday. The moon was, or maybe it was this morning. That's what it was. It was this morning. Moon was right by Saturn this morning, but now the moon is in Aquarius, but they're all triggering your career and soul group from career house. And you've got Venus and Jupiter in Aquarius. So in the next couple of days, moon's on your Venus Jupiter, which makes you really lucky of the people who you meet, and look to meet a possible female who will help you in what you want to accomplish collectively, and the collective in your life purpose. And the beginning of next year, all of the shift into Aquarius is going to affect the type of people you connect to, and where you're heading with your career, and how you bring in money, or how you bring in money from a career, as opposed to like a hobby or people gifting you, that kind of thing. So, and then Mars is on your Chiron within 2 degrees at the end of your 1st house. So, and Chiron is also in your 1st house, transiting at 6 degrees of Aries. So know that this is probably a difficult time for taking action in an assertive way, that you're going to potentially get hurt if you are taking assertive aggressive action on your own behalf. but that is a huge part of what Saturn and all the Capricorn planets, the stellium, are trying to get you to do in your career, is to take action. But because that square with Mars is going to square the end degrees of Capricorn stellium, the money area of your chart and what you do to promote yourself in that business are part of the story. And if you want to find out more about that, you're probably going to have to give me a private call, because I can look further into that and the energy dynamics with other planets and what the transits are saying to the money, but I just don't have time today. And then I've got like 4 minutes to end the podcast. So the last person is Sarah, and Sarah's from Anchorage. I thought that was really cool. Sarah has a 3-degree Cancer rising. Her birthday's February 27th, 1989, 11:16 a.m. And she was born in Anchorage. So, all right, and she's a new listener, so welcome. She also has a moon in Scorpio, which is like me, but having a late degree moon in Scorpio means you're a little bit more susceptible. Sorry, I have a little itch from my hair here. You're a little bit more susceptible to being taken advantage of through people in like fraud or telling you things that aren't necessarily true. Just keep an eye out for that, especially from family members. Their potential with the square between your moon and family members, there's potential like not fulfilling what you think the truth is going to be. And it also falls in your house of work, so you're a little bit susceptible in that area as well. It means it's a culmination of a deep emotional kind of energy for you. And having the Mercury in Scorpio join the Sun will give you a little bit more insight, but this is the focus of this particular Mercury retrograde for the next 3 weeks. It's about friends for you and how friends are treating you, and really, you know, Scorpio, and I don't talk a lot about this because it's kind of sad, but Scorpio does rule life and death and rebirth, and it's in your house of friendship. So there is a potential that somebody may be making a transition that you know, or there may be somebody who could be sick who's a friend, and it could be one of those kind of fight for their lives kind of situation. So just be aware of that, or a sibling. Mercury rules siblings. But you do have Pluto at 13 degrees in your house of friendship. So it's friendship, children, and then the Mercury influence is neighbors and friends and small pets. So all of those kind of are in the story together. And, you know, really triggers and other aspects that I honestly can't completely go over in this amount of time are influencing that. Now for you, I'm just going to stick to the same planets. Mars for you is in also the friendship area, or not friendship, but soul group from work and life purpose. And that means that you're having a lot of, you know, the whole Mars retrograde has been affecting you with men around, it can be friendship, but it's also people who are associated with your career choices. And then Neptune has been going through your career for a while, which you've got Venus in Pisces and North Node in Pisces and Sun in Pisces. So you had a really strong life-changing event, probably, well, since Neptune's been in Pisces, and I honestly don't know if I can calculate, it's 2 degrees a year for Neptune. So about within the last 10 years, which is kind of vague, but, you know, think 2010, there was a major life-changing event around career or something that you're like, oh, I need to be an artist and I'm just going to go be an artist. You also have the stellium of Capricorn in your 8th house, which, you know, it's very deep, very troublesome at times. It really speaks to your soul. So I hate to leave it on that note, but if you are interested in contacting me, I leave information in the description below on YouTube and also on SoundCloud under my profile. You can get me at Angelic Zodiac anytime and angeliczodiac.com. And with that, thank you so much for being there, and check me out anytime online. See you later. Bye. Take care next week. Bye.
You have been listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, shelleyoverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.